She's not the only winner in the room. Because I'm telling you, tonight's going to be fantastic. Okay. So who exactly owns who? You're starting to wonder? Who's ready to take back control of your rental properties? More than enough. So do you own your rental properties or do they own you? That's what the crux of the matter is today. Why you can't miss this today, and don't be afraid. I see you got your pens out now. Okay, so who wants to take back control? All right, learn those 5 keys. All right, who wants to master that background check so you don't have the squatters? I see a lot of smiles out there. How about preventing tenant fraud? Protect yourself from the scams and the squatters, which Toledo will not get out for you. All right? And what are the 2 big questions? What are the simple questions that will make all the difference in the world and reveal everything about your tenant? Anybody know those? You're gonna by the end of tonight. Okay, how about securing your investment? Out of everything else, that's just as important. Learn to stay ahead of the fraudsters and everything that's going on. So, and this is going to be a bonus. All you attendees here today are going to stop letting your properties carry off your whole life. You're going to get some free software. You're going to get some information that is going to change how you do properties. And all the way from Arizona, let me introduce to you Rent Perfect himself, Mr. Pickron.
Thank you, thank you. It is good to be in Ohio. How's everybody? I flew into Cincinnati a couple days ago. I watched the D-back and Reds game and we got beat, so good, congratulations to Ohio. All right, then I went to Columbus to see my daughter. Played a little golf with her this morning, and I came up here to see you guys. Is there anything in Cleveland I'm missing? Because I think that might be the only place I haven't been in Ohio in the last couple of days. No? Just stop here. Awesome. Hey, gave you guys some free iPhones tonight. I hope everybody has one. If you don't, I have a ton of them up here. Hey, whether you're a seasoned investor or you're here for the first time, the last deal I did in Arizona, I stole this 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo for $325,000. Stole it, okay? So when I hear up here I've got a place for sale for $61,000, I can't get my checkbook out quick enough. Now some of you might be going, Dave, that's our market. But if the rest of the country, because see, from Arizona, we always just say, oh, that's California. California prices. They're going to pay big bucks in California, not in Arizona. Well, guess who has California prices now? Guess who's willing to put up with the heat? Everybody. See, in the old days, when I grew up, they're like, oh, you live in Phoenix? It's so hot. How do you deal with it now? Well, there's so much good things about Phoenix, including the real estate market, that people are like, you know what? I'll just stay in an air conditioning building. I'll go into an air conditioning car, and I work in an air conditioning office, right? And so now, all of a sudden, we don't hear, oh, it's so hot in here, oh, it's a dry heat, right? People have found Arizona, and as a real estate investor for 30 years, I'm a little bit sad about it, but it is a great state. Just like Ohio, we used to have $61,000 homes, okay? So I'm just bringing you some knowledge from the West Coast and from other parts of the country saying, you guys are in a great market right now. Like, there is a lot of money to be made in Toledo, Ohio. I hope you guys know that, okay? I went to New Jersey, northern New Jersey, Newark, probably 2 months ago, and someone raised their hand and said, guys, I want to let you know this is the last meeting I will be at. I bought a place in Florida, and I'm actually moving to a place where I can invest. And everybody got up and clapped them and said, when you find a place down there, a good place, please call us. We want to go to, because here in New Jersey, New York, they're investing, you know, opportunities are just awful. So I'm pleased to tell you, as I travel around the country, and if you're new or if you're looking to acquire more, I think you're in the right area. I really, really do. I heard about the lead paint. I know you all are going to be criminals after December 31st. That's okay. When I do the background check on you guys, we'll just look over that and say not a big deal, okay? But there's some things you have to get through. But man, I think it's worth it. How many of you think that being an investor is the best job in the world? I love it. I love it. And I love to be with groups like you guys, because these are my people. You guys are my people, right? I've worked hard my whole life, and now I can travel around, kind of teach, and my wife's sitting down and comes to my daughter, and we're just hopping around the country, having a great time. I couldn't do that if I didn't have an investment portfolio. Now, as I talk to you tonight, I'm going to break one of my rules right now, okay? I honestly, it's a pet peeve of mine, and I'm going to totally do this. I can't believe I'm going to do this, but I hate when people talk numbers. I take everybody's numbers and I cut them in half, okay? Get in a circle of real estate investors and, oh my gosh, I made so much money, blah, 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 yeah, whatever, right? You only care about what's your money, all right? But I'm going to tell you, only for the purpose of this presentation, that I own 16 single-family homes, just so you guys know who's talking to you. I don't claim to own hundreds, and I'm not some major investor, and I'm not all this stuff. I'm a guy who just collected a few homes here and there over the years, okay? I bring in about $33,000 a month in rent, okay? The reason I tell you this is, and if there's any property managers here, I love you, there's a place for you. But Rent Perfect manages all 16 of my properties while I'm hopping around the country, and I don't pay 10% to anybody to run my properties, okay? So what's 10% of 33,000? Okay, you're gonna get a free software tonight that's gonna manage your property from beginning to end for free, okay? And I'm gonna tell you a lot of the stuff that it does, but I'm not here to sell you the program. You get it, like it's free, you get it. If you take, guys can go, and if all you're here for is a software, I'm here to talk to you about how can you find success in your rentals, right? Does it own you or do you own them? So let's start out with a little bit of an exercise real quick. Everybody kind of just bow your head, close your eyes, however, just kind of get in a comfortable position, however that is. And for those of you who own properties, I want you to say the address of each of your properties in your head. So if you have one, that's pretty easy. If you have a few, Anna, you're going to be a while. So, and I want you to feel that first gut feeling that you feel. I want you just like to tune into your body and just say the address, and then is it a, oh man, that's awesome, or, oh, I got a problem over there, okay? So let's just do that real quick. I just want to get you just think and just go through the addresses in your property and just see how you feel. Some of them you'll love. I think some of them you might say, yeah, that's okay. And others you're like, something coming up over there. Okay, so did you guys get kind of that feeling? I imagine some of you would say, no, David, I own my properties. They're awesome. And some of you would say, I wish I owned it, but in this situation, it's kind of owning me right now, right? And I'm not going to ask any of you to share any stories with you, because I'm sure many of us have just some bad tenant stories, right? I have one. I say an address in my head, and I've got an issue coming up that I'm like, I have to deal with this. And let me tell you about it. So I rent to a cute little 86-year-old lady named Corliss. And Corliss is awesome. Corliss pays her rent. I have no problems with Corliss. But Corliss will call me and say, David, somebody upstairs is playing too loud of white noise. Okay, let me come over, Corliss. I come over to her house. She can barely hear me, right? And that's with her hearing aids in. Hearing aids out, where she's just reading my lips. In fact, when I look away, she's like, you gotta look at me, you gotta look at me, okay? And all I hear on the wall is the clock, tick, tick, tick. And they're playing their music loud, and so when I say, Do you own your property? Does the property own you? For a little bit of time, nothing is my fault. But I have a lady who is kind of losing it, right? When she moved in, her kids wouldn't help her. She has no family to go to, right? I thought at first, I was being like, yeah, I'll do some community service. I'll help her a little bit, moved her kind of in, helped her a little bit. And over the years, it's just gotten worse. And her kids want nothing to do with her. So now I'm the landlord, and my wife is kind of the caretaker. So that property is owning me right now, and I want to get rid of it. I want to get rid of Corliss, though I love her. I didn't sign up to be a caretaker. So if you have enough rentals or you've been around a while, you are going to have some properties in a certain amount of time that kind of own you, that need your attention, right? But the whole golden night we're going to talk about is finding the right people where nothing owns you, okay? That's the goal. I'm not saying from here on out you're going to be able to achieve that, but we're going to talk about some things that helps us do that, all right? So, my sweet Corliss, we'll see how that works out. All right, guys, David Pickard, I am an investor. I call myself a successful, lazy landlord. I have long, mid, short-term rentals. I have some commercial. The reason I call myself a successful, lazy landlord is because I like to do as least as possible. So I'm not up here telling you, I dot all my T's, dot all my I's, cross my T's. I don't even know how to say that saying, right? I like to do the least amount of work. But if I do the least amount of work, but I do it right, I'm okay. I can live the life that I live, right? This business, and it is a business, can actually be easy. It can be easy with the right tools, right? Okay? I'm a private investigator. So my team back at the office, Rent Perfect, we're a private investigation company. We're actually doing the backgrounds on the tenants that are applying for your place. We're not doing instant database checks, which we'll talk about in a little bit. We're actually doing investigations, okay? That means checking the courts, what's happening today in the courts. Were they evicted this morning? We're going right to the courts and not to a third-party database that's old, outdated. So you get a much better screen when you have a private investigator assigned to you. Now, when you put in a file at Rent Perfect, you have your own very own private investigator that'll reach out. Hello. My name is Tammy. I'm your private investigator. I'm working on your file right now. I'll let you know if I see or anything. It's probably going to be 4 to 6 hours by the time I get done doing all that I need to do. Okay, so that makes Rent Perfect a little bit different than Zillow, Apartments.com. Those guys will use an instant database, and they'll just give you back something that says no record found. Do you guys know what no record found means? That there's no record found in their database. Not that there's no record found or there's no criminal history out in the world, right? So what is your name, Lisa? What's your last name? Lisa Thomas. Lisa, I just checked my database. There's no record found on you. You're good to go. Lisa's good to go, guys. You see what I mean, though? They're telling you, a lot of these places are telling you there's no record found. What does that even mean, okay? We're going to tell you we've looked at every place they've worked, every place they lived, and we're going to tell you whether someone has some credit issues, some criminal issues. We're seeing a lot of identity issues we're going to talk about today. Okay, I'm an officer of the court in Arizona. I'm the father of 3 kids, 3 grandkids. I've been married for 29 years. I am ADD. There is no doubt. I am ADD, and then when I get focused on something, I am OCD. I am really, really weird, okay? Really strange, okay? So, when I first got into rentals, they owned me, and I hated them. And I got in because I was doing a lot of backgrounds. I have an eviction company. I was kind of in the world, and I thought, this is what everybody's doing to get rich. Real estate, real estate, real estate. That's what we hear, right? But I hated my rentals for years because I mistakenly thought that my success depended on the investment. Okay? So a lot of times we're here as investors talking about, oh, I bought the home for this, I sold it for this, buy low, sell high, great neighborhood, this property, blah. Everything we talk about a lot of times is about the property. We want to talk about properties today, okay? Think of your best deal you ever have bought or that you will buy, and have it sit there empty and tell me how happy you are. Who makes you money? The people. Right? We always want to talk about all the property, the mortar, jump the fence, I looked in the window, I got it at auction, I did all this stuff. Listen, if you don't have the right people taking care of your property, you're not making money. So when I use the term tonight, business partner, I'm talking what you guys would know as a tenant, a resident. That's who I'm talking about. Why do you think I call him a business partner? You're so much more closer to your business partners than you realize, okay? If I can find you somebody that would stay at your property, okay, and pay you rent for 5 years. Now we're here in Ohio, so say that's $1,000, $12,000 a month. They stay for 5 years. How much is that business partner worth to you? $60,000, right? We're talking about a home for sale earlier tonight for $61,000, and yet a guy's going to hand you an application and say, I want to be your business partner, and if they're the right one, they're worth $60,000. In Arizona, they're worth $125,000, $150,000 with our rents, right? They're valuable. They're not tenants. They're actually business partners. If they go through a divorce, does it affect you? If they get sick and get cancer, does it affect you? If they lose their job, if COVID comes along, they are connected to you. They have the chance and the ability to own you if you don't pick the right one. Now, how many has picked the wrong one before? Okay? Doesn't it suck? Right? Isn't it the worst? You see that phone call and you're like, oh no, here we go. I don't want to take this phone call. Right? We want to be able to have a system that just automates and works so well that I don't have to take the phone calls. I have the right system and I have the right people. And that's what I want to teach you tonight, okay? All right. So my success depended on the people. Now, I get really excited when I present. Sometimes I go like into my next slide and I don't even advance them. So you'll probably see me going, I covered. I get on a roll. So 5 keys to fuel success by finding the right investment, the caretaker, the business partner. Okay, proper background checks. Do you guys feel, you don't have to answer this out loud, do you feel, ask yourself, do I really vet these people good enough, or do I just look at the big wad of cash in their hand, or do I see that the mortgage will get paid by somebody else this next month? Is it solved my problem of having an empty unit? Are we so quick just to get rid of a problem? Do you feel like you're properly finding the right business partner? And only you know that. Because when I was younger in my career, someone showed me some cash or said I can move in tomorrow, right? Told me that my problem was solved, my place was filled. I was like, sweet. Only to find out that 3 months later I didn't get my rent and we had an eviction. And I'm in the exact same situation 3 months from now that I am today. So why do this today? Okay? Red flags that many landlords miss at the very beginning. We're going to talk about that. We're going to have asking the right questions. People, when you're showing the property, that's an art. Showing the property is an art. It's like your first date. How do you prepare, young men, when you were going to take some cute girl out when you were younger? How did you prepare for that date? We didn't have text, so we didn't say, here, I'm out front, come out front and get me, right? We were like, okay, I'm going to take her here, and then we're going to go here, and she is not going to forget this first date, right? So showing your property is kind of like your first date. So how are you handling that? Okay. We're going to talk about protecting yourself from fraud, and the right software will make managing easy from beginning to end. Okay. But your success depends on the people. So when you leave tonight, I really want you to say, what did you learn tonight? I learned that my success depends on other people. It's kind of scary to say, but it's true. All right. So let's understand the importance of background checks. Instant databases versus an investigative agency. I've already talked to you about that a little bit, but you know you're using instant databases when you get immediate results back. If you put in the background or whatever and it comes back to you right away, that is a database search. It's not a background check. It's a database search. They're usually 6 months old. They don't cover the whole United States, okay? So here's how the United States is set up for those who really want to know my world. There's 3,300 county courts across the United States. There's 27,000 city courts. And then there's some justice courts, regional courts in between there. There is a whole lot of courts to search, right? You get a DUI by the police officers, you go to the city court. We're not going to find that in the county court, right? You get a felony, it probably jumps up to the county court. I'm not sure how Ohio works or how many. Do you guys have an eviction court or justice court? Or do you guys, where do you file your evictions at? County?
Yes.
County court, right? Okay, so there's a whole lot of stuff for us to search. When someone accumulates a database, they don't have those 30,000 courts filtering into their database. They have to buy it every 6 months, and really a lot of smaller cities don't even have their data available to buy. So they miss all kinds of stuff, right? That's why you want to do an investigation. If someone's only lived here in Ohio, there's no reason my investigators are in Alaska, in Juneau, in their courts. There's no reason for that. Let's not waste our time there, because that's going to be a $10,000 background check if I have to really focus on every place in the country. Let's focus really hard on where they live and where they work and the counties around it. All right, that's an investigative agency. Okay, identity. Guys, we are seeing more denials because of identity than even criminal records right now. Identity is huge. Now let me tell you kind of why. I want to buy a brand new truck. I want it jacked up. I want a 2026. I want it red, King Cab, Chevrolet, and I go down to the dealership and they got the one for me, right? The one in the dealership that they've already really put all the bells and whistles on, that they jack up, $20,000. That's the one I want. What do I need to do to get it? Here's an application, David. And I fill out that application, and they run my credit. And they're like, yeah, Dave, I'm sorry, we're not going to be giving you that truck today. In fact, I don't think we can give you any truck on the lot. You might need to go down to Mike's Happy Car Company, where everybody gets approved. So you're going to have to lower your standard a little bit. And so I go down to Mike Happy Car Company and I say, hey, I'll just take a truck. I've been so beat up at the other dealership, they've let me know I can't have what I want because of my history. I'll just take a truck. The lady takes my application, runs my credit, and says, this has never happened before, Dave, but we can't even give you anything here, and we finance everybody. And I say, well, why can't you give me something? Well, because of that criminal history or because of that bad credit. Well, that wasn't mine. You guys ever hear that? That wasn't me. That wasn't mine. Well, it matched your date of birth and it matched your social security and it has the same middle initial when we... Okay, so I start learning how the system works. You need my real name, my social security, my date of birth, okay? So now let's go to housing, because when I'm trying to buy a car, what options do I have if I don't get a car? I can ride the bus, I can borrow, I can bum a ride, I can do Uber. I have options. But now let's talk about housing. Let's talk about housing. I go to housing and I get told no because of your history, because you have ruined your profile. The United States gave you a name, a social, a date of birth, and you have proved that I can't trust you. And I can only judge the future by what I'm seeing in the past. You might be a great person today, but I can only judge the future by what I can see in the past. Okay? So I'm sorry you don't have a house to live in. Okay? So what options do they have? You have to have a roof over your head, right? So if I learn that, oh, my social matters, my date of birth matters, my spelling of my name matters, what am I going to start doing? Right. Not because I think you wake up in the morning and you say, I'm going to go bamboozle a bunch of landlords today. That's going to be really fun. Their intentions is desperation. They need a house over their head, and so they're going to change certain things so they can get a yes instead of a no. Okay? So, happens all the time. All the time, guys. Someone applies with us, okay? And the social is their kid's social.
Oh, right on.
Okay? Because when you're my age, it was a pain before you could get your first job. You were worried about getting a car back then, but you also have to worry about getting a Social Security card. Do you guys remember that, going to the Social Security Administration when you were younger and getting your card so you can get a job? Well, in 1973, if you look up the stats, there was this big to-do. You women said, we're not taking your men's crap anymore, and divorces went crazy. 1973, if you look at the statistics. Okay? So now, mom and dad are divorced, they share the kids, here comes the taxes, and they both claim the same dependent. And the government has no way of knowing who's really taking care of the child and who gets the tax breaks. So they said, no more at 16. You will not leave the hospital until you have a Social Security number. Now, how many of you have kids or grandkids where you see that that's the case? They get their Social Security number really quickly, right? So what happens when I ruin my profile and I get told no, but I got 2 and 3 Social Security cards sitting in a file because I have 2 and 3 kids? So we'll have kids come and they'll be 18 and they'll go to apply for a rental and we'll see 16 years of history. I'm like, how can you possibly have done that as a minor? They're getting their identity hijacked by their parents. It happens. I'm not saying I've seen it once. This happens all the time. A lot of time in the southern states, a lot of Hispanics will they'll come into the States, they'll have a kid, becomes a citizen, get a social, they'll grab that social, and they'll become that identity. Okay? Hard to find unless you have a PI who knows what they're looking at. So identity's huge. You've got to know who it is. Now think of this. You're going to come look at my property. I'm going to say, hey, send me your ID before I look at your property just so I know who I'm dealing with. Okay, I look at the ID. Great. Give you back your ID. Did you remember their date of birth? Did you remember their name? Did you remember anything on that ID? No, you just said, okay, no, good. I've checked it. In your brain, you said, I've checked it. Now when they turn in an application, which is later, you say, oh, no, I've already checked the ID. But did you check the application versus the ID coming in? This is how these things happen, okay? So identity is huge. Let's make sure we do proper identity checks. When they come through the Rent Perfect system, they're asked questions, they upload their ID, they upload their paycheck stubs. We have so much information about them. We could tell if they really exist here in the United States legally and that their profile is a good profile, okay? All right, so a lot of times we'll come back and say, hey, we need this or we need that, and they'll just leave. The landlords call me going, hey, I can't get a hold, they won't return my phone call. That's because you were getting ready to do something that you don't want to do, right? Don't think you lost something good. You just lost something you didn't know about, okay? All right, credit bureaus. Credit bureaus are instant. Every screening company has the same exact, they're going to give you the same bureau from Experian or from Equifax. So you really don't need to really worry about credit bureaus a whole lot. They are pretty solid and consistent. The thing that I worry about credit bureaus is we can't rely on them anymore. Do you guys think we can rely on credit bureaus anymore? Do you have any idea what I'm talking about? You're like, well, you can't rely on credit bureaus. What are you talking about? Okay. Let me tell you why they're losing their value, okay? Number one, 4 or 5 years ago, they took off judgments, liens, and evictions off the credit bureau. Took it off. They were getting sued by too many people for putting the wrong information on the wrong person. Okay. How many of you have heard the last name Pickron? How many? Is this like the first night you're like, Pickron, where is that from? Is it the first time you guys heard that name? Okay. There are 118 David Pickrons around the country, mostly in the South, mostly in Georgia, and mostly in Florida, where my family comes from. Okay? I'm a criminal in Texas. I have a criminal record in Texas. And I'm dead in Florida, and even the person who had a drug overdose has my exact same spelling of my middle name. So I'm looking at this obituary going, this is a little bit creepy. So when the credit bureaus would get judgments and liens and evictions from the courthouse, when you file your evictions, you don't put date of birth, you don't put their social, right? They really have no idea which David Pickron this file needs to go under. Think about John Smith, right? Think about all the common names. They're finally like, listen, we're getting sued so much, we're just taking it off of there, okay? Then the government said, hey, I tell you what, COVID hit, medical debt is gone off the credit bureau for a year, let's get rid of that, no medical debt, okay? Then the prior administration said, you know what, we haven't made people pay student debts for student loans for a long time. If they're delinquent on their student loans, we won't put any student loans on the credit bureaus anymore. So really, what do we have left? Credit card? Car payment? Utilities aren't really on there unless it's a rental utility. But there is a way utilities are getting on there. I'm going to tell you how they're getting on there now because of this situation. But there's just not a whole lot on there anymore, right? So I can just picture the boardroom at Experian, the credit bureau, right? And they're like, you know what? We're becoming less and less relevant. What can we do to be more relevant? I want to be in this meeting, okay? And I know they had this meeting because I can look and see what they're doing. Have you guys ever heard of Experian Boost? Do you know what that is? But they put in so much money into marketing, and you don't even know what it is. You know what it is? We're not getting information from third parties anymore. So let's have people now sign up and start putting their utility bills in and start doing self-proclaimed credit. Remember the commercials say, you know, your score will go up by 30 or 40 points that same night. Now we're finagling the credit bureaus by the very people that might have bad credit, okay? They had another meeting. They're sitting there going, what else can we do? Hey, we're Experian, the credit bureau, one of the largest, in a way, background companies. Let's let them know if they have excess subscriptions of Netflix and Amazon. You guys seen those commercials now? Come to Experian, we'll let you know. Like, why are they getting into all this stuff? They're realizing that their product is being neutered. Make sense? Okay, so we can't rely on credit bureaus a whole lot anymore. Now, for years, if you look at the news clippings, Americans' credit scores are going up. America is more responsible than it's ever been. Why are they going up? Because they're taking off all the stuff that brings the score down, right? Guess what happened this year? America's credit score has gone down from last year, even after we've taken off all the garbage, right? Credit card debt is as high as it's ever been, right? Our underbelly financial system is not super healthy right now. If you look at all of the reports and what's coming in, we're heavy debt, and yet you're not even going to know that as a landlord because these places aren't telling you all of that information. Okay. Any questions on that? Nationwide criminal background checks, we've got to go nationwide. People move around, people get in trouble, they're like, I'm going to start a new life, or my kids are going to start a new life, and then they move. So we've got to do background checks around the whole nation. We have to check address histories, and we need to do online applications because the past will predict the future. Okay, so let's be an investigator, and let's now turn this over to what you really should be looking for and the red flags as people come to you to become your business partner. The immediate move-in. Now that gets a lot of people because it says, problem solved. Honey, I got the place rented. Whew, got that one done, check mark. Right? They pulled up, it was amazing. They pulled up with the U-Haul truck, and I handed them the keys. They were already moved in. I haven't even cashed a check yet. There's some big problems here. And if you really go research a lot of the articles about, I had squatters move in my house, what you'll really find is they didn't properly vet the people. They gave them the keys and let them move in, and then when they didn't pay the deposit or the rent, now they're like, they're squatters, they've never paid the rent. If you really look into a lot of those stories, very rarely are they someone just broke and started living there. There are those out there. But I love when I'm like looking further into these stories, the truth is they were not a very good landlord and didn't onboard them very well. So now all of a sudden they're crying squatter, squatter, squatter. If someone needs to immediately move in, so how many days in Ohio do you have to give your landlord to let them know you're moving out? Okay. How many people give a 30-day notice and on day 29 go get a U-Haul truck, pack the truck, and start driving around town looking for the next place to live tonight? It doesn't make sense, right? So the immediate move-in needs to raise those hairs on the back of your neck and go, you know what? There's something, maybe there's a reason. Let's ask some questions, but you need to ask questions if people need to move in fairly quickly. Okay. If they ask questions about your screening process, do you do background checks outside of Ohio? That's a weird question, right? Okay. So anything they ask you about your screening process, complete and total red flag. And guys, you do a background check on me, I don't care if you check the world. I don't care if you take 5, I don't care what you do. I'm never going to ask you a question about it. Sure. Go check me. Go. I have no questions, okay? So if they start asking you questions about that, red flag. If they tell you a story about their past, okay, the reason they're telling you the story about their past is after I give you back the report, you're not going to want to hear the story. But right now, you're trying to be kind and nice, and what they're trying to do is to be kind and nice back, so when you do get my report, you're like, oh, they were so kind, so it was just a fluke, they're better. They're going to try to get you to like them so much you're going to overlook, okay, that they're a drug dealer. It's true. It's true, okay? So, if they ask you, you are the owner or the management company. Are you an individual owner? Are you a management company? That's another red flag. Like, why do you care who's managing this property? Now, I've changed. I actually had this happen to me like 3 months ago. Someone said, hey, are you an owner or are you a management company? Here I'm like, hey, I teach this, red flag, right? And I said, well, why would it matter to me? And they said, because I rented from a company that came into town and bought 5,000 houses, and I've had no air conditioning for 2 months, and no one would answer the phone, and I'm just sick of dealing with a big organization. I want to just deal with a smaller landlord. I said, I'm glad I asked the question. You just proved me wrong. I'm glad I asked that question. Because normally it would be a small mom and pop doesn't have the systems or the programs that are touchy-feely, and I can get away with stuff with a small mom and pop, right? So there are big entities that are buying up. I mean, I saw a Progress van on the way over here. If you guys heard of Progress, they're buying everything they can find. Okay, Invitation Homes, big companies buying thousands of properties. It's not good for us small landlords. And it's really not good for the tenants either, because they're just too big to handle their business, right? But if we can then find those guys, take them in, take care of them, make them a business partner, they might be with us 5 or 10 years. Let's let them go have a bad rental experience and then find us and pay my home off for me, right? I'd like that. Okay. Tries to impress you or is overly friendly. Okay. Had a guy from Illinois come out to Arizona, moving out to Arizona. And as we were going through the property and I met him there, he's like, yeah, that when they framed the wall, it's a little uneven with the drywall, but don't worry, I can fix that. And as he went through the property, he was telling me everything wrong with the property, but don't worry, he was going to be the best business partner I was ever going to have, right? Now, I've shown a lot of properties, and when you start getting weird, I start saying, this is crazy, right? He's trying to impress me. He's trying to tell me how much better he's going to make my property. Honestly, I don't want you to touch my property, okay? Like, move in, use it, hang a few little pictures if you want, but I don't want you, like, redoing the bathroom by any means. Like, no DIY here, right? DIY here. So, if they try to impress you or they're overly friendly, you've got to ask yourself, why is this happening? So I told the guy, I said, listen, I'm a private investigator. I do backgrounds for a living. I own the company, right? Do you have anything in Illinois that would cause any issues or, nope. I'm coming out here and I'm going to be your best tenant. So I did his background. I found some extensive stuff on him. I emailed him back with an adverse action letter. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to give you this unit. And he did reply to me with 2 words. And that's a true story. So kind and so nice and was going to fix. It was thank you, exactly. Yeah. You was the right one. You got half of that right? Okay, so anyways, he was so nice to now I didn't get my way. So guys, if someone's coming trying to impress you and being like overly nice, red flag. I'd rather someone have like some work boots. Hey, I've had a tough day at work. Let me show you the property. I like it. I mean, let's just get real, right? Let's not try to like become best friends. I don't care if your daughter plays soccer or my daughter plays soccer and I don't want any of all that information. Why are we are not going to be friends, okay? We're going to be business partners. There's a big difference between a business partner and a friend, okay? We want to keep them that way, okay? We'll take anything. I've just had people, a lot of times will say, hey, is that 4-bedroom that you have listed? I'm like, hey, sorry, it's sold. Do you have anything else? No, I don't have any more 4-bedrooms. I just have a 2-bedroom. I'll take it. But you wanted a 4-bedroom, and now you'll take a 2-bedroom. It tells me that Mike Happy Car Company deal, it tells me you'll just take anything right now. And I'm not looking for somebody who's desperate. Guys, hear me really clearly here. We're not looking for somebody who wants any home. We're looking for someone who wants our home. Why is that important? Why do you care if they want your home? You want them to stay, right? If they're going to be worth $60,000 in Ohio, I need you to stay for 5 years. I need to be in the right school district. I need to have that many rooms. I need to work into your life. If you just take any property, when the 1-year lease is up, you're just going to be shopping again and taking anything that you can. Okay? So I want you to want my property, not just any property. So when I hear these comments, I want to make sure that my unit works for them. Okay. And then if they ask about your application fee, and it's okay to say how much is it to apply then, but a lot of them are saying, I'm going to lose this money, right? Because I've lost this money before. So if they're really concerned about the application fee, I'm not saying it's a no-go, just one more thing to go, okay, a little concerned about the application fee, right? If you tell me it's a $50 application fee and I have no issue, no history, no nothing, great. But I've just paid 7 different $50 application fees that I lost, now all of a sudden the application fee is like kind of a big deal to me. All right. Okay, so we want to know, what are people really telling you? Okay, let's get to the showing, the dating, okay? Now, guys, as you know, I'm a private investigator. I got to be very careful that I don't make this a job interview. Where do you work? How much do you make? I'm following them around the house, right? And I'm asking all the questions like a job application. I just don't want to be like that. I want to know that stuff, but I want to know it at the right time. You don't need to know that stuff right now, okay? What you need to know is something that the background check and the credit check cannot give you. I'm going to give you this. I can't do this for you. You need to do it, okay? And it's very, very simple, but I want to talk to you about the thinking behind it. The first one is, what are you going to miss from your current residence? Seems pretty innocent of a question. You're like, David, what can I get out of that question? Okay? What if the answer was, I'm going to miss my neighbors. I had really good neighbors over there. What does that tell you? They get along with their neighbors. I'm not going to have a neighbor calling me a lot. We're going to talk about neighbors here in a little bit, neighbors of your rentals. Okay? What if they say, let me tell you what I'm not going to miss. I'm not going to miss that landlord who doesn't return my phone calls, who doesn't fix anything I do. What does that tell you? Okay, you're going to be the bad landlord, the next bad landlord. If their current neighbors are great, I have a feeling their current neighbors are going to be great. If they have a bad landlord, you're going to become a bad landlord. We're looking at the relationship now. Now, you can't say, rejected, not renting to you based on that question, that answer. The answer to that question. I am not saying that at all. I am saying we're getting to know our business partner a little bit, right? And this is just a little bit of stuff we're putting in our mind as we go through this process. We don't just look at one thing anymore. We listen to answers, we look at credit, we look at criminal, and we make a very, very good decision based on a ton of data that we've accumulated. Make sense? That's how we make a great decision. Okay, now, real similar question. And I'm walking through the house. Now, what I say is this. If there's 30 landlords in the room, there's 30 different ways to manage. I'm not coming here to teach you how to manage. You guys know your properties, you know what you do, you know way more than I do, okay? So if this works for you, great. If you're like, yeah, it doesn't work for me, great. But I'm just giving you some tools that you might incorporate into. So what do you like about this residence? This lets me know, okay, are we going to our second date? Oh, I like that this is a single story. I'm coming from a 2-story and the stairs. Okay, that would make sense to me, right? All their answers are kind of making sense to me, right? I've had somebody tell me, you know, Dave, in the first question, I'm going to miss this awesome park across the street that my kids played in where we're currently living right now. And I went into sales mode. I said, oh, did you come down the street this way? Yeah. Let me show you what's right around this corner this way that you haven't seen yet. Look at this park. Oh my goodness, my kids are going to love it here. Okay? She might have drove out the same way and thought as she was deciding, going, oh, but it didn't have the park. And instead I showed her, hey, a park is important to you. See, I'm trying to see what is important to you right here, right now, and can I fulfill that? And can we continue this relationship? If something's important to you and it's important to me, it's a good start. It's a good start. So wide open questions. Now, when I show a property, I don't feel like, and if you guys feel like you do, that's fine, but I don't feel like I need to be over their shoulder going, this is the primary bedroom, this is the bathroom. I think people kind of know how a home is laid out. I kind of walk them in the front door. I let them go around the home. There's no reason for me to have these conversations. Just let them talk, right? If you realtors are in here, nothing's better than people saying, oh, our drapes will go great there and our couch will go good here. They start selling themselves. They know whether they want the property. I don't have to talk them into it. You guys agree with that? So I wait out in kind of the common area, and then I kind of start asking these questions after they've looked around the property, and then I make sure and I go around the property at the very end and I lock all the windows and lock all the doors and I make sure the house is secure, because I might have not been with them every step of every room, but I was close. Okay? That is my style. These are the questions that we have a conversation on. These lead to more questions that are normal and natural conversations, not interview questions. We'll interview them when they fill out the application, and then we send it to us to verify the application. That's when all that kind of ugly conversation happens, right? So, okay. So, don't talk, just listen. This isn't a time. Sometimes we investors talk too much, landlords talk too much, okay? Kind of off topic a little bit, but just about talking too much. I had a client call me, and she said, I'm getting sued for fair housing. And I said, what happened? And she said, well, I told my business partner or tenant, I think she probably said, I told them that I was going to raise the rent. And I said, oh, okay, give me more. Like, there's more to this story. She's like, well, I told them my insurance rates went up because there was so much rioting in the streets, and then Black Lives Matter, and she starts going on all this like politicals. I'm like, whoa, 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 stop. That hurts to even hear. Why do you feel like you need to explain why you're raising the rent? Why are you raising the rent? Because I can. I don't have to give you a reason. So don't feel like you have to explain every move to somebody, you know, of why you're doing something. You simply have a business relationship, and I'm raising the rent. Why? It's time. It's time. Okay? Do not explain all of the back end stuff. You don't need to. Okay? So let's close her mouth a little bit more. In her case, it could have saved her a lawsuit, and I don't even know what she was thinking there. But sometimes we can do that in the showing too. Okay. I want everybody here when they leave tonight to go to Experian and TransUnion and put a credit freeze on their credit. How many of you have a credit freeze right now? Okay, there's a lot of work that needs to be done in this room. Major fraud is going on. I've lost my American Express like 2 times last year. They logged in, stole my American Airlines points. Okay, they hijacked my LinkedIn account. Now I can't get into it. I had to shut the whole thing down. There is so much fraud going on. When you have your open credit file available, they can start becoming you, getting that file to be opened by car dealerships, by home, by lenders. You need to freeze this. Now, you might say, what a pain. It's not a pain. You freeze it, and when you go buy a car or you need it, you log into the Experian app, your phone saves the login for you, you push unthaw for a day, you let it unthaw, you let anybody who needs valid access to your credit get your credit, and then it'll automatically lock it again in 24 hours. I promise you, if you're going, Dave, that sounds too much. If you learn anything tonight, you're like, I don't have rentals, I don't really care what the guy said. Please just go lock your credit. Just go freeze it. Okay? You're never going to know how you saved yourself, but that's okay. We don't care, right? We just want to know that you're protected. Now, if you don't, and you get your credit hijacked, you're going to go, you know, that guy told me a while ago I should have done this, and I should have listened to him. Please do it. Guys, AI is so scary for us as private investigators. It's so scary for me as a screening company. AI, make me a paycheck stub that I make $5,000 working at Taco Bell, and in fact make me 2 paycheck stubs where all of the calculations match, the year-to-dates match, they take out 4.2% for my FICA. Make that for me, okay? Make an offer letter from Taco Bell, put their logo on it for me, right? You know what AI can do in the future? We're going to be sitting there not knowing, is this real or not real? I mean, they got 2 people doing a podcast I'm watching, and they're both AI people. They're stuttering, they're talking over each other. I'm like, there's no way that that's not 2 people. And that's only come about in the last year or two. You know how quickly technology just rolls off of each other? Your social security number is going to be hijacked. I promise you, get a freeze on it. And I am trying to scare you because I want you to do it, okay? We didn't know where this country was going. Years ago, we all got little checkbooks. And we wrote everybody little IOUs. And we said, here's my bank account number, here's my bank account number, here's my bank account number, right? And now people with electronic paying says, enter your bank account number. Great, got one right here, right? And if certain companies aren't verifying that that check is valid, your bank account is getting hammered, okay? I got like 4 PayPal, $425 last year that I had to go figure out that somebody was just PayPaling right out of my bank account. Somewhere they got my bank account number. I don't use checks a lot. I don't know where they got my bank account number. I don't think that's that hard anymore, you know? But they really tagged me really hard. So never give out your bank account number. Get away from checks. Use a credit card. Buy everything with a credit card. You have guarantees. Guarantees. I had fraud. We'll refund you the money. We'll put a fraud on it. We'll stop it. We'll replace your card. Very important, okay? Squatters. How do you kill squatters? The true squatters, the one that's just break into your homes that are empty. How are you guys doing it? Okay.
With no information.
Yeah, true, right? Okay, let me tell you what I do. I know every neighbor of every rental I have. In fact, I send them a Starbucks card for Christmas every year, okay? I have neighbors who I communicate with around my rentals. Not my own personal home, my rental neighbors, okay? Hey, my place is empty right now. I'm going to find you a good renter. We're going to use RepPerfect. We're going to find the right business partner. We're going to have background checks. You're going to have a great neighbor. But if you see anything weird, would you give me a call? Okay? If there's someone walking around the property, I'm not there. And when I decide to rent to somebody, I will come over and introduce them to you. And so you know who your neighbor's going to be. Okay? I'm also going to let my neighbors know I don't allow pets and I don't allow smoking anywhere on the property. So if you're in your backyard and a big heavy marijuana smell is coming over the back fence, would you call me? Right? Because your neighbors are free eyes and ears on your property. Okay? I get a call from a neighbor. She says, Dave, the kids in your 2-story house broke the screen out of the 2nd story, jumped out the window, and are now playing tag on your roof all over your tiles. Pretty steep sloped roof. A little worried about safety, a little worried about, ran over there, caught him right in the middle of the act, right? Like, there was no like, no, my kids weren't doing that. What are you talking about, right? I'm watching them right now, get them off the roof, and here's a notice of violation. And strangely enough, I see this golf cart in the garage. And I'm like, I don't think much of it. Okay, they have a golf cart, no big deal. Well, about a week later, I get a notice from the HOA going out to all the owners saying there are kids on a golf cart that are bashing mailboxes. And I'm like, kids on a golf cart. I saw a golf cart. So I went back over there and I said, hey, I've got this notice. You got a golf. That golf cart's been broken for like 2 years. It hasn't moved. Okay, so it's not your, no, okay, great. So I go back the next night, and now there's no golf cart in the garage. I'm like, wait a minute, this golf cart that's been broken down for 2 years, where is it? Oh, we just got it fixed this morning. My little hellion renters, my 14 and 15-year-olds were terrorizing the neighborhood, running on my roof. Mom and Dad had good credit. Mom and Dad passed everything, but they soon had to get a notice that they had to go because the kids were just violating every lease provision that I had, right? So the neighbors are the ones who started that for me. Hey, Dave, they're running around on the roof. Because I will be honest, I'm that successful, lazy landlord. I'm not running by all my houses every single night, monitoring everything they do. I need someone to tip me off So I pay attention to where my problems are and leave the people alone that are doing a great job without me. Okay, so neighbors are super, super important. Never post your address in an online rental ad. Don't do it. I know it's hard. A lot of places will have in a circle in this general area where this rental is. All I'm going to do is copy your photos. I'm going to copy your address. I'm going to make an ad where I'm the landlord, and you're going to say, hey, is your place still open? It is. I need a $1,000 deposit in order to meet you there. And then all of a sudden, there's two people talking that have nothing to do with your property because they have all the information. You gave them the pictures. You gave them the address. Okay? I've never seen a tenant that said, well, let me go look you up in the county records to see if you're really the owner. They just trust, right? They just call the number and they're looking for a home. So be very, very careful where you place that address, okay? Be cautious with for rent signs nowadays, okay? I love a for rent sign. For rent signs got me a lot of business over the years. Hey, my sister's looking to move in the neighborhood. Sometimes I get all kinds of referrals off a for rent sign if they just know it is. But if you're going to use a for rent sign, I would put do not disturb the neighbors or do not disturb the occupants by appointment only, even if it's empty, okay? And if you can put some cameras in there, I would put some cameras in there. We have to do this nowadays, okay? All right. Criminals are smart. All right. Any questions so far? I'm doing a lot of talking here. Is everybody okay? Everybody hanging in there? Okay. I think every single one of you who are a landlord or want to be a landlord is crazy. I think you're crazy. I'm talking to a group of crazy. I am. You guys are nuts. Do you know why? What other industry, give me one other industry that takes $100,000, a $200,000, in my case, a $400,000 or $500,000 asset, and says, I have this available to anybody who wants it, just fill out a little application, and I'm going to give you an asset worth $500,000 to manage. If you guys were going to start an ice cream shop here in Toledo, it's going to be the coolest ice cream shop, and you were looking for a partner to go into the ice cream shop with you, who would you pick? Who? A business person? Would you know him, Anna? Okay. But if you're going to start a business, right? I'm not talking about a rental. You're going to start a business. Are you going to put that out on an open app online saying, looking to start an ice cream shop? Fill out this application and we can be business partners. You going to do that? And yet, we've talked about these business partners. Look at what we do. Look at what we offer to people after so little, right? I ask my applicants, my future business partners, I ask them for 3 months of their bank statements, okay? Some people would say, whoa, that's 3 months. I used to ask for 12 when we were in the eviction moratorium in COVID. I wanted to know money in, money out of the bank account. Because I do eviction searches, and I can't go do eviction searches during the COVID because there were no evictions being filed. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? So now I pulled it down to 3 months and put, well, that's a little invasive. Guys, if you're buying a property and your mortgage company says to you, I need 3 months worth of business with bank statements, are you even going to flinch? Okay? If these applicants are flinching at what I'm asking because it's too hard, they might not be the person that I wanted to go into business with, right? Knock on wood, I didn't lose 1 month of rent in any of my properties during COVID. I had people lose their job, but they were people that knew how to do hard things, so they went and found another job. They went and found their churches to help them. They went and found a way to survive. They didn't just say, oh, COVID, can't evict me, sorry, I'm not paying it. It's okay if we ask these application these people to do something a little bit hard. And if they kick back on it, say, I'll wait for the next person. Can you guys wait for the next person? Can you? Some of us here might not be able to wait because we just want to get it done. But I'm here to tell you, wait. Wait for that person, okay? So, any business that we start with a business partner, whether it's an ice cream shop, whether it's our rental business, it needs a good platform, a good software platform. When I first started, we had Word, and we would print out an application, and I would call you up on a corded phone, right? And I'd leave you a message because you weren't home on your answering machine. Beep! I got an application for you. Where can I meet you or mail it? Right? Oh, I got a fax machine now. Where can I fax it to you? Okay? Then when I went and did the lease, I copied the other lease from another property, and I copied it, and then I changed the name and the rent, right? So when I had that call saying, hey, we're moving out, we bought a house, or whatever it is, I then went, oh no. Here I gotta get my Word document, I gotta meet him, I gotta copy, they're gonna fill it out, then I gotta meet him again to get it, then I gotta enter in the data, and then I gotta copy over a lease, and then I gotta make sure that I get every field right, or they're gonna get the past person's name in their lease. You know what I mean? It just became difficult. So as I developed Rent Perfect, everything that was difficult, I got rid of and made it so easy. Now, Lisa, we can be at lunch, we're having a great time. I get a text, hey, I liked your property, I think we want it. Great, here's a link. You and I can still have lunch. I didn't even skip a beat. Now they're entering in, they're uploading their IDs, they're doing all the work. I'm having all the fun, okay? I instantly, when they're done, I get their credit. I say, oh, okay, this is something up the credit. So far, so good. It still has to go 4 to 6 hours to the investigator, right? But so far, all the data coming at me right away looks pretty good. We're still having lunch. Fantastic. Okay? By the time dinner rolls around, I get a text. It's all done. I look at it. I can see their address history, their income, their paycheck stubs, their IDs, their address histories. I see the whole world, right? And I make my decision, yes or no. And I simply go, hey, looks awesome. I think we can go ahead and offer this to you. Here's a link to the lease. Because I've prepared the lease within a matter of clicks. Okay? Great. Now I need a deposit. Here's a link to the rent pay. Comes right out of your bank account. Comes right into my bank account. And then I'm going to set it up to pay every month on the 1st. And you're going to pay your rent. You're going to set it and forget it. And in my system, I can see if you scheduled your rent to automatic pay or if you're going to push that button on the 31st and manually launch your rent. It tells me if you're watching your bank account or if I always have money in there, and I'll always have money in there for the rent. It makes me feel, so I'm just gathering all this little data. My business partners have no idea the amount of data I'm looking at and assessing to see how our relationship is going to go in the future. Okay? So online applications, investigative background checks with identity confirmations, online custom leases, online move-in inspections. This is kind of cool. I got sick of meeting people over there. Hey, okay, I'm going to bring you the keys and we're going to walk through the house. Oh yeah, the countertops look good. The window, let's go to the first bedroom. I got my little clipboard. Everything looks good in this room. Now I send them an invitation. A wizard on their phone says, go to the kitchen. Look at the countertops. Are they good? Look at the walls. Are they good? Look at the appliances. Look at the windows. Good, good. Oh no, there's a ding on the countertop. Let me take a picture of it. I didn't do this. I'm not asking you to fix it. I'm just telling you I didn't do it. Like when you get a rental car at the airport. I don't care if there's a ding in the door. I just don't want you to think I did it. I don't want to pay for it. Right? Now they walk around by themselves through the house and through this wizard, and they take all their pictures, and we save that for when 5 years down the road they move out, and I walk in, there's a big hole in the wall. Oh, that was there when I moved in. Yeah, I have your whole walkthrough of every detail of every room. No judge is going to buy that was there. That move-in inspection is really cool. Okay? Now, on the back of the little iPhones I passed out tonight, 95 cents to get our system. 95 cents. There is no more fees for anything else other than the rent pay is $10 a month. That goes to the payment processor that's taking the money from one bank account and putting it to another. It's not even coming to me. Okay, so that's a QR code on the back. If you guys scan it, you log it, it's 95 cents. People say, why do you even ask 95 cents? Why don't you make it free? I asked 95 cents because I actually have to do a very minimal background check on each of you, because I'm about to give you social security numbers, date of birth, profile. I'm about to give you someone else's world, and I got to make sure you're a landlord and who you say you are, okay? And part of that is I verify the credit card that you give me for the 95 cents. So I'm just telling you, it's not a full-blown background check. You're not going to fail it. But we're responsible in what we do, and we share so much data. I got to make sure that no one is conning us at all. So, okay, online work orders. Anna mentioned this. This is new for us, okay? So in Phoenix and some other workplaces around the country, we have set up vendors in Rent Perfect. So you can invite your vendors for free. Listen to this. We even do the background checks on them for free, cost them nothing. They get put into your platform, okay? Now, why is that important? We can be having lunch, Lisa, and I get a work order. My AC is not blowing cold. Click a few buttons. I already know my AC vendor. Send this off to them. Now, in Arizona, I have 6 AC vendors, okay? Because when it is 115 degrees outside, you cannot find one. They are all super busy. So the Rent Perfect system goes to my first one and says, hey, I've got a tenant here with a text that needs help. Can you help them? No, we're so busy. No. Replies back. It then goes to my second vendor, my third vendor, my fourth vendor. So it allows the Rent Perfect system to find an available vendor that can help me. Now, I like all 6 of them. I don't really care who shows up. I'm trying to teach people, don't fall in love with one vendor, fall in love with 6 of them. Do you really care who shows up and fixes the rental property, right? So I had one of these happen to me last August, and so I sent it off to one of my vendors, JMac, and JMac doesn't go through me anymore. See, I used to be like, hey, JMac, can you fix 1221 Any Street? Yeah, I can come at 4 o'clock. Business partner, hey, they can come at 4. No, you're at work. You don't want anybody in there. Okay. No, they can't do it at 4 o'clock. What else do you have? These guys are like, Dave, we're busy. You get what you get with us, right? I now say, here's the tenant's information. You guys talk to each other. And last August, my tenant made an appointment with the AC person 3 days later. Okay? It was a Tuesday. She made it for Friday. It's 100 and something degrees outside. Guys, you can't even sleep when it's that hot with no AC, right? Now, if I would have said, I scheduled it for 3 days later, I want a hotel, I pay you rent, I would have been the bad guy. But I put these 2 guys together, and I see the date, and I'm like, okay, you made that appointment. It's up to you guys. So once again, I'm a successful lazy landlord because I don't want to get in the middle of all these online work orders. So if you guys want to develop Toledo and put in great vendors that work with investors, we can make that happen really easy, okay? They just need to sign up with us. They don't have to give me any information, but they have to be a referral from you. If someone calls us up and says, hey, I run a plumbing shop out in Toledo, Ohio, I would say, okay, well, how did you hear about me? I need to know that you guys have worked with them. At least I know that they're referred from an investor. Because I don't want the guy to get on there that's going to charge you double what we're used to paying. And those guys are out there, right? Right? You guys can call a plumbing company and have one charge of this and one charge of this. I mean, that happens in Toledo just like Arizona, right? So anyways, they have to be a referral from you. So inside your Rent Perfect portal, you can refer and send an email out to these vendors saying, I'd like to invite you onto the platform and be a vendor for me. Now, once they're a vendor for you, they have a chance to be a vendor for anybody else that goes in and says, I want them as my vendor too. Once they're a vendor for you, they can be an available vendor for everybody. So if you got a vendor company in the room, we need to get you up and going on this. Once again, no cost to you. All right. We also have a rental ledger to make your taxes easier. You can export it, send it to your accountant. You can see how much you collected in rent all year. So this whole process is how we find the right business partner, and how we use this system is what's going to help you guys become a successful lazy landlord like me and do it the right way. Okay? So on the back of that card, you can take it home, you can do it right now. On the back of the iPhone I gave you is your discount link to do that. With that said, I will be here for questions if you guys want to ask any questions now, or I'll stay here for a while and we can personally talk about your situation at all. Yes?
When you put a credit freeze on and you start to pay on your credit card, is the credit card that reports to the Experian or whatever, can they still? When you have a credit freeze and you're doing good things to your credit, like paying down your credit card, is the freeze going to block those good things from coming through?
Yeah. So it only blocks the people that are trying to access your credit. Your credit card is not really accessing your credit. It's reporting your payment. It will allow people to report to your credit. Your credit bureau will not change. It's just going to block people from seeing your credit bureau or applying for credit somewhere else. So don't worry about that. Your credit file will not be touched. You'll be in good shape. Guys, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure here. I really appreciate it. Did you have a question? Go ahead. Well, one more.
Okay. Well, my question is, you were saying don't pay with a check.
Yeah, no, we'll talk about that later. Never mind. Don't pay with a check.
Well, because of the accounting. So, but sometimes though, if you have a contractor and you pay them with a credit card, then you got extra cost on top of that because they pass.
I would rather pay a Venmo or a Zelle or pay a 3% credit card fee than have you give them your account number.
Even if it's like the electric company or gas company?
Okay, so let me tell you how data works real quick. You guys ever get asked years ago, what is your mom's maiden name? Do you get asked that anymore? No, because everybody knows it. Okay? Now it's what's your high school mascot? We know that. The amount of data that I have on you guys is amazing. I can tell you everywhere you've lived, your relatives, your neighbors, their phone numbers. Okay? The amount of data out there is absolutely scary. So every time you pass out a check to anybody, wherever they deposit it, put it, if that goes on what they call the dark web, you are completely and totally compromised. Okay? So no, I know there's a point where you're going to get your checkbook out. You are just taking a major risk. So,
In case you don't know, those numbers across the bottom of your check, the bank does not use those anymore. They rotate anonymous numbers all the time. That's how serious they think it is. So if they think it's so serious that they don't use your account numbers anymore, they rotate them in-house. If the bank's telling you that, and the credit unions are telling you that, I'm telling you, every time you hand out a check, you are handing out your account number.
yeah, thank you for that.
And I don't know what to do about it. I'm pushing 80. I need to be more techie. I'm just saying.
You know, I know.
Yeah.
I would feel more better about a Venmo, a Zelle, or a credit card transaction than a check, just so you know. You guys can take all the risk you want. You can go home and not freeze your credit. I mean, it's not going to affect me, but I flew in here as a private investigator to teach you guys how to protect yourself. That's all I'm doing. It's up to you whether you take that back and use that protection. Okay? Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Let's chat.